Three.
4, 3, 2.
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. Two Men, one podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, aka the Bat Tribble. And as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to adjust your TV sets or your laptops or your phones or by whichever device you're using to stream us into your happy home. We are still coming to you from the Video Content Factory, but they are shifting things around. They are making things happen in here, so we are on a temporary set as we move into April for Octavia April.
Yes, sir.
Our annual showcase of Black Sci-fi and Afrofuturistic tales, honoring in name of Octavia Butler, the late great Afrofuturist and novelist herself, who Vince was actually blessed to actually kind of know a little bit.
I didn't know her, but I did spend the day with her.
You spent the day with her.
I did spend the day with her. I did.
Yeah,
she came to Temple. She was speaking, and when I was a graduate student, and she needed someone to escort her around for the day, to sort of be her, her body man.
Right.
And I got to do it. So I did. I got to hang out with her today. I drove her to the mall. It was colder than she had planned on it being, so we drove to the mall.
Did you lend her your jacket?
No. But she went and bought a pair of gloves.
Wow.
We went and bought a pair of gloves, right? So we went to Plymouth Meeting Mall.
Oh, that's cool.
And kind of hung out all day. So yeah.
Did you get an opportunity to geek out over her a little bit?
It's so funny. One of the things that I love so much about her, and this is sort of, believe it or not, germane to what we'll be doing this evening, is she was open to different interpretations of her work.
Okay.
And there's a short story that she has called Bloodchild that she has been adamant about some interpretations of it. And we had a very lively conversation about my interpretation of her story.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
So very cool. Very cool. I actually, one of my treasures is a business card that she gave me of hers. That says Octavia Butler, writer.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So,
well, in honoring her, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we are spending April focused on Black Sci-fi and Afrofuturist films, and Vincent has selected our film that we will be reviewing tonight. Again, I repeat, Vincent has selected the film that we are reviewing tonight from 1972, starring Roddy McDowall.
yes.
And Don Morgan.
Yes.
This is Vincent's selection.
Yes, it is.
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, it is.
The black movie.
That's right.
That Vincent
I did indeed.
has selected for tonight.
I did indeed. And I did not stutter.
He did not
I
stutter.
said it with my chest. Mm-hmm. I waited over 300 episodes before I did it. Like around episode 200, I was like, is it time for Planet? Okay, not quite yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. So,
Not yet.
But yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Hopefully I've built up enough goodwill that if someone disagrees with our interpretation. You see how I slipped an hour in there? See how
I saw that.
You saw that,
I saw
right?
that. This is your interpretation.
Hey, look, if people have fatwas against you and they're mad at me too, it goes both ways, buddy. But that's later.
That's later, ladies and gentlemen.
But
But first and foremost, we want to give a shout out to everyone that is out there watching us as we're streaming from, as I mentioned, the Video Content Factory here in Manayunk, streaming to YouTube, and all of you that are out there in the chat. Hello to each and every one of you.
good evening, one and all.
I also want to give a very special nod to comedian Daryl Charles.
Hey, what's up, Daryl?
I almost feel like his name is comedian Daryl Charles.
I know.
But he's
I know.
our friend.
Yeah.
He's our buddy, Daryl, who actually hit me up right as we were about to go live to say like, dude, I am loving The Class of 1989.
Yeah.
Which is our new documentary miniseries that is available wherever you find podcasts. Where we look at 6 films that came out in 1989 and talk about how they changed the industry and a culture forever. Daryl is one of the featured voices.
He is
on that show, and the latest episode that came out this week was, I believe, Oh Oscar. Right?
Oh Oscar is the episode that came out this week.
Yeah.
Where we and the amazing group of participants talk about not only the Oscars from 1989, but awards in general. Mm-hmm. Awards in general, not just in 1989, but moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully.
Episode, if I may say so myself.
Well, you just so did.
I did.
If you want to check that out, ladies and gentlemen, look for The Class of 1989 wherever you find podcasts. We really appreciate it, and share a kind word with us. And thank you, Daryl.
Yes, thank you, Daryl.
All right, you are overdue to return to the mission, so we will make it so.
You are.
Brother. All right. I also wanted to point out, Vincent, talking about, like, giving people an update on some of the things that we've been up to.
Okay.
I'm in the midst of rewatching of things.
Okay. All right.
I finished my maybe 20th rewatch of The West Wing a couple of weeks ago.
Okay. All right.
Which got me, then I was in a W frame of mind.
Okay.
So, on HBO Max. So I then moved to The Wire.
Of course.
I started rewatching The Wire. And I realized that not only is The Wire one of the best TV shows of all time.
Absolutely.
Full stop. To me, it's top 5.
Yeah, no question.
I think arguably top 10.
Look, well, wait, you don't go from top 5 to top 10.
No, I'm saying whoever you are.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard pressed to put it out of the top 10.
Right.
And the show is so good that whenever I see shows that have to deal with some of the same, topics that they deal with,
sure,
cops or drugs or the inner city turmoil and things of that nature, I always start watching them and realize, somebody's done better.
Right.
I usually kind of like saddle off, which is why I never got into a power frame of mind.
Look.
And things of that nature. But I also realized that another one of the gifts that The Wire gave us is that The Wire may feature the best pimp to ever be on screen.
And that would be?
That would be one Detective Lester Freeman.
Lester Freeman, real police.
Natural police.
Natural police.
Natural police. Portrayed by the unstoppable Clark Peters.
Clark Peters.
I don't know if you remember, and ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to go back to season 3.
Certainly, if you've not watched The Wire, you should watch The Wire if you don't know what Lynn's talking about.
Go back to season 3 of The Wire, which is the season that everybody loves to deal with, because this is the season where Stringer Bell gets his comeuppance.
Yeah. Avon gets out of jail, and then
Right.
I just want my corners.
Yeah. Just want my corners.
Just want my corners.
And actually, now I'm thinking about it, he doesn't get his comeuppance in that. He gets his comeuppance in
Season 4.
Season 4. But in season 3, part of Avon getting his comeuppance is that the cops have to get more or less a mole into his strip club.
Yes.
And they lock on to one of the strippers named Chardine.
Young
lady, probably in her early 20s.
Yeah, Chardine.
And they get her to break up with Avon Barksdale by revealing some truths about him and that the world that she is inhabiting there to her. And then they slowly get her to kind of like be their eyes within the strip club.
Yes.
I say they, but it really is Lester Freeman.
Absolutely.
Who is easily 25, maybe 30 years older than her.
At least.
But dude, his pimp hand is so smooth.
Look.
It is so strong.
Look.
There is a scene where all the cops are gathered around, and Lester's also one of the older cops.
Yes.
they're all gathered around talking to Chardine, and they're trying to get her to go in because they need her to like just tell her what's happening in the office. And she's like, I don't know. Can I get like a cup of coffee? And everybody's like, yeah, sure, I can get you a cup of coffee. And one of the other officers, I think it's Hurt, says, yeah, let me get it. And Lester, without batting an eye, I got it. 2 creams, 4 sugars.
That's right. That's right.
And she just smiles.
That's right.
And Lester gets up with his bow-legged self, and everybody just turns to like, what? Pimped hand, strong as hell.
Pays attention to her.
There are maybe 5 scenes in that whole season between him and Chardine, but each scene is him just getting a little closer, a little closer, a little closer, until next thing you know,
That's right.
boom, she's the next season. Yeah, Lester, he helped me with new glasses, and she's all up in the.
Yeah, they're a couple.
They're a couple.
Oh yeah.
She is sitting on his desk. He's closing the door. Y'all don't need to see this. Like, oh, Lester. Oh, pimp.
Well, you know, I think at one point he tells
Who?
not Mahoney, the main cop, the main.
Oh, oh shoot. Mick. I know what you're talking about.
He tells him, you know, what's the point of doing all this if you don't have anyone to come home to?
That's right.
So
That's right. And he needs somebody to come home.
and they end up a couple.
I know.
Now you're gonna make me go watch The Wire again.
Wait a minute. Then the other pimp hand, because you know Lester was famous for like doing
The little doll furniture.
Little doll furniture that he sold for like exorbitant bit of money. And you see her playing with a piece of furniture, right? And he's like, "You like that?" And she's like, "You keep that."
You keep that.
And then it cuts to what she's playing with. It's a little black baby.
Mm.
Pimp!
Yeah.
Pimp!
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's so smooth.
Oh yeah.
It's so smooth.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's The Wire.
That's The Wire.
Your last rewatch.
My most recent
recent rewatch.
I'm still in it right now.
Excellent. What season are you on?
I'm actually in season 4 now.
So there's the kids.
No. Season 5 is the kids.
I thought season 5. Wait, I thought it was 5 seasons altogether.
I think it's 6 seasons. The first season is,
You got the first season,
which is drugs.
You got the
Second
docs.
season's the doc.
You got
The third season is,
he gets out of jail.
right. The 4th season,
Is Marlo and the kids? I thought.
but it's not Marlo and the kids. It's Marlo and Avon coming home. It's Marlo in the mayor's race.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right.
Because then the next season is the kids. Yeah, it's the kids. Because it's all up in the school.
Right.
And then the final season is
the newspaper. Right.
The newspaper. What happens in the 4th season is New Amsterdam.
Amsterdam. Right. Bunny Colvin.
Bunny Colvin.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Bunny Colvin. Then he said his wife, when he was in the midst of all the turmoil, he said his wife has lost weight and got her real estate license. So I guess she about to leave me. Don't get me started on The Wire. We should probably get off The Wire. We got stuff to do. Yeah.
Is there anything that you've been up to that you want to update the fans with, Vincent?
No, and now you make me feel bad that I haven't been up to anything. No.
Oh, that's fine.
No.
I'm a busy man.
No, I haven't. I'm just
It's all good.
like I'm watching Hello Tomorrow just because I'm a design freak. So that retro. Hey, it's not that good.
Yeah, it's not.
I just love the retro future design.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for the retro future design, which we will talk about. Like I'm a sucker for 2 types of retro future, like that kind of 50s depiction of what they thought the future was going to be like, and I love the 70s depiction of what they thought the future was going to look like.
Oh, interesting. Like Logan's Run.
Logan's Run. I actually follow an Instagram page that all they do is post stills from episodes of Space 1999.
Have you tried to rewatch Space
I have not. I have not.
I have recently.
But the design
is incredible.
bonkers.
It's bonkers, but
the show itself,
oh god,
yeah,
it's
all right.
it's a dirge.
Look. We got to keep because you know I have copious notes.
I'm sure you
for
do.
CONQUEST.
I'm sure you
of
do.
the Planet of Apes. We were like, once I was getting to my 70s and everybody was going to make serious Star Trek.
Yeah,
that's a whole different.
I know. At least
I do love April.
If nothing else, ladies and gentlemen, we've given you an idea for the reason why the people that designed our temporary set threw up all this geeky stuff. Because I've heard the show. They always geeking out.
Right, always geeking out.
So it's not our regular guys, Terry and Dylan here. So it's people that don't really know us. And they's like, yeah, I think they would like Mechagodzilla. Little do they know, he has Mechagodzilla sheets. So,
Love the Mechagodzilla.
so he is like right on it. So
Why wouldn't you build a giant monster robot?
I will tell you this. All right, last
thing.
Last thing. As much as I was enjoying Godzilla versus King Kong, that movie from like 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
When Mechagodzilla showed up in that movie,
Come on, man.
I was 10 years old.
Come on.
I was 10 years old.
Come on. They took Godzilla and they made a robot version of Godzilla. Like, how pure is that?
I know. Oh my God, I was so in it, man.
Yeah.
I remember I turned to my bull cow. I was like,
Mechagodzilla?
he was like, what you say?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right.
We're moving on.
Moving on
to the games.
Keeping it moving.
We're moving on into the top 5.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Top 5, ladies and gentlemen, where I come up with a list and Vince gives me his commentary on it.
All right.
Now, I try and keep this tied into the film.
Sure, thematic.
I'm not sure where you're going with Conquest of the Planet of the
Hey,
Apes.
buckle up.
But I surmised that you might be looking at this as a film that could be coded as black.
Perhaps.
Much as we did with the Goofy movie.
Much as we did with the Goofy movie.
So, what I've come up with is a top 5 animated characters
Okay.
who you could see as coded as black.
These are black characters who don't necessarily appear to be black.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right, what we got?
All right. And I'm going to start with number 5.
Number 5.
Which some people may think, oh, this is definitely a black character.
Okay.
But technically it's not.
Okay, and that would be?
That would be Garnet from Steven Universe.
Oh, yeah, she's absolutely black.
Well, she's absolutely black because she does present as a black
Right.
woman.
And Estelle does the voice.
Yes, and Estelle, the singer, does the voice.
She has like that square afro.
She does have a square afro.
Yeah.
However, she is not human.
She is not human.
She is a gem.
She's a gem.
Okay. But what she is...
She's actually, spoiler, a fusion.
Very true. Very true. But what she is, with her look, with the gem of it all, some would say that she, Garnet, is the essence of black girl magic.
Absolutely.
So thus, she's definitely
Garnet is black.
black.
I 100% support this.
Were you a fan of Steven Universe?
I was a huge fan of Steven Universe.
Me too.
A huge fan.
I love that film. I think it's one of the best animated shows.
It
of all
really
time.
is.
Number 4, Vincent.
Number 4.
I don't know if you know this show.
Okay.
Were you a fan of Adventure Time?
I was actually going to say I like Steven Universe better than Adventure Time. I think it's tighter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I also love Adventure Time.
Well, there's a character from Adventure Time,
Okay.
Marceline, the Vampire Queen,
Yes.
who is the daughter of the ruler of the Nightosphere and a black human woman.
I was about to say she's actually biracial.
But her complexion is, it doesn't really
Right.
She doesn't present.
Yeah, but that's
As
that's
black.
in the text.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I guess that would make her.
yeah,
black.
yeah.
All right, maybe that was a false one.
I mean, look.
I hadn't thought about that. I was just thinking because
Always time to talk about Marceline.
Very cool character.
Very cool character. Very cool show.
I turned on to that show late,
Yeah,
but I was like, this is interesting. I like this.
yeah. These are both shows I watched with my daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we kind of watch them together. So yeah, good shows.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Grimm from the Grim Adventures of Bill and Mandy.
Not familiar. I mean, I know it, but I'm not familiar with the cartoon.
Well, Grimm is actually the Grim Reaper.
Right. Little itty bitty cute Grim Reaper.
I don't know, he's like real itty bitty. Like they're itty bitty, but he's
a
kind
little
of
taller.
like he's taller.
Right.
He's definitely like a skull and cloak, you know, black cloak and everything. However, Grimm, the Grim Reaper, has a Jamaican accent. He's 100% Jamaican.
Well, there you go.
Now, there's an interesting story behind that. They want me to take off my jewelry, ladies and gentlemen, or put it in my shirt. See, these are people that I don't know these guys.
Sir,
like these aren't Terry and Dylan.
Sir, we
they give me
robbed?
these weird hags and cigarettes.
All right, go ahead.
I didn't know what was going on.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know what's going on.
It's like an uptown Saturday night.
I know, right? It's crazy.
Never
Anyway,
have so many given so much to so few. Everyone strip down to your underwear. And the sister said, I don't wear underwear. And he said, take it off. And then she took off her clothes.
and he said,
Lord, have mercy. Thank you very much.
"You're welcome."
Go ahead.
Grimm. There's a story behind the Jamaican accent.
Okay.
He is voiced by voice actor Greg Eagles.
Okay.
Grimm wasn't originally conceived as Jamaican,
Okay.
right? But they wanted him to have some kind of accent.
Okay.
So Greg just did a deep voice at his audition and put a twist on it, attempting to do a Trinidadian accent. However, it came out as Jamaican, which all of the producers said, let's just go with that.
Just go with that.
And thus Grimm was Jamaican
Thus, Grimm was Jamaican.
and coded as black.
And coded as black. All right.
All right?
I'll go along with that.
Okay.
All right.
The next one, and I went for more obscure.
Sure.
So I didn't do goofy.
Right.
Because honestly, there's an argument whether it's like, we said a goofy movie codes as black, but I think that's more because of his relationship with his son,
Right,
as
right.
opposed to the character
Exactly. And Max's experiences.
Right.
Right.
himself. All right, but number 2.
Number 2.
This is from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends,
Oh, yeah.
voiced by the great Phil Lamar,
Yes.
which would be Wilt,
Yes.
who was the imaginary friend of the basketball star on that show, who was named Jordan Michael.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No illusions, but definitely a monster.
Yes.
With Google eyes. I thought very interesting that it was only had one arm,
Yeah.
but and it's a voice of reason on that show.
Yes.
More often than not.
Yes.
Despite the wild look that Wilt has, and definitely codes as black.
Yeah. Doesn't he have like a little afro?
No, it was like kind of like spiky.
Kind of spiky,
and
but
then
it
his
looked a little.
eyes popped out.
Okay,
of it,
all right.
Popped out of it.
I'll
yeah.
go along with that.
He didn't have an afro.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And number 1.
Number 1.
And this one goes without saying. This is in the hallmarks. I don't care what anybody says. This character is black, and everybody will agree.
And that would be,
Panthro.
of course, Panthro.
From the Thundercats.
Of course, Panthro is black.
Voiced by Earl Hyman.
By the great late Earl Hyman.
Yes, the Thundercats. He is the strongest.
Yeah.
He is always
He's got a baldy.
Got a baldy.
Yeah.
Got his nunchucks.
Got nunchucks.
He's the mechanic.
He's a mechanic. He sounds like your uncle. Like he sounds like your uncle.
Uncle Panthro.
He got a shirt that he keeps open down to his belly button.
Doesn't
He work on cars.
he? Yes, he does.
He like kung fu.
Yup.
He got bald head.
He got a bald head.
He just need a cigarette hanging out his mouth with a piece of ash this long. Mm-hmm. Tell you I'm gonna need about $200 for parts to get started.
And a bottle of beer in a paper bag.
There you go.
That's all I need.
Panthro. Uncle Panthro.
Uncle Panthro.
Love it.
There you go. Number one.
The
animated characters coded as black.
There you go.
Like that?
I do like that.
All right, cool.
I do like that.
So, send your characters. Email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com because I'm sure there's plenty others that we forgot.
Sure.
I know somebody out there who's a lover of anime is yelling Piccolo all on the screen. I never really saw him as black.
I know my brother is yelling Jazz from the Transformers.
Well, okay, there you go.
Voiced by Scatman Crothers.
Yeah, Jazz, most certainly. Mm-hmm. Jazz is a good one. I totally liked on Jazz. That would have been a good one, too. Mm-hmm. All right. You ready for the Game of Kings?
I am ready for the Game of Kings.
It's time for 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
A character who coded so black that he was animated.
All right, 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
It hasn't come on yet.
Oh, it hasn't come on yet. It has.
Well, the light's green. The light is green. All right,
now it's red.
All right.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen. We have to leave Terry and Dylan some notes about these guys. 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, ladies and gentlemen, where Vincent will attempt to connect that 70s animated cartoon himself, D'Urville Martin, to actors of my choice. And I tried to keep it in the vein of the movie.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find any apes to connect them to.
Couldn't find any apes to connect them to.
Not that would have not been problematic.
No. Hey, we on real shaky ground the whole episode.
So I just looked at some of the top films from 1972.
Oh, okay. There you go.
There.
All right. There you go. I see the connection.
So, number one. In 6 movies or less.
6 movies or less.
Connect D'Urville Martin. To Charles Bronson.
Charles Bronson. Mm-hmm.
Now I'm telling you right now, Vincent, this should be real easy.
It should. What is the cowboy movie that Charles Bronson was in?
Once Upon a Time in the West? I mean, he's been in a few. But that's like the big one with Henry Fonda, spaghetti western, Sergio Leone.
And that's what I'm thinking about. That's and there you go right there. So D'Urville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Katharine Hepburn, who is in On Golden Pond with Henry Fonda, who's in Once Upon a Time in the West with Charles Bronson.
Very good, Vincent.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
But you went, and that was easy.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the easy route that I was thinking about.
Here's the thing. I think about Charles Bronson in the Death Wish movies. Mm-hmm. Like, I know he made a bunch of stuff, but I always see him in Death Wish and Once Upon a Time in America.
In the West.
In the West, I'm sorry.
In the West. You could have connected to him via The Dirty Dozen.
Right, because that's Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
It's probably the same amount of steps, though.
No, it was so easy.
Yeah, okay.
But in my mind, thinking easy, I'm just going right to Jim Brown.
Right. As one does.
Right.
As one does. All right.
Very good.
There you go, Charles Bronson.
So you knocked it out the box.
All right.
This one, the second one, may be a little harder.
A little bit more obscure.
Yes.
All right.
Because this is the star of Cabaret.
And that would be?
Liza Minnelli.
Liza Minnelli. Well, here's the thing about Liza Minnelli. Liza Minnelli. Oh, that's Shirley MacLaine, though. I'm thinking about Rat Pack adjacent folks.
Yeah, that's not Liza.
Yeah, that's Shirley MacLaine.
It's Shirley MacLaine or Angie Dickinson.
Or Angie Dixon. So Liza Minnelli. What is Liza Minnelli in?
Well, I'll tell you the movie from. Well, I think I told
Right, you said she's in Cabaret.
Cabaret, and I knew that wouldn't help you.
I don't even know who else is in Cabaret. I've not seen Cabaret in 100 years.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Cabaret?
I have no reason to.
It seems like something. Oh, right, it's a musical.
What
What else is Liza Minnelli in?
Well, her big movie. You remember her big movie
I actually don't.
with Dudley Moore?
I thought she was in Arthur.
Yeah.
And that's with, so sure, Sir John Gielgud
Yes.
is in Arthur as well. And John Gielgud was also in,
A lot of British movies.
it's not him in Batman though.
No, he's not in Batman.
Old British
I just trying to think of
butlers. And then Dudley Moore.
John Gielgud does show up in a film that you don't expect him to show up in.
Yeah, because I feel like he's in like the Muppet movie or something.
Oh, that's not the one I'm thinking about.
And Dudley Moore is in. Oh, Liza Minnelli is a good one because there's a lot of dead ends. What else is she in besides Arthur and Cabaret?
That's a good question.
She do anything in the 80s?
Did she? Well, Arthur was in the 80s.
Okay, besides Arthur.
Let me look her up. Liza Minnelli.
Liza Minnelli is a good one.
She did. I don't think she has like a huge filmography.
Yeah.
To be fair,
Who else was in Cabaret with her?
Joel Grey.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, I knew that wouldn't help you. Joel Grey would not help you at all. Let's see. They don't even really have a filmography. It's so small. She was in. She did voiceover for the animated Journey Back to Oz.
Yeah.
She was in Cabaret,
Right, Cabaret.
of course. She was in Arthur. She was in New York, New York. She was also in Arthur 2.
Yes,
On
Arthur.
the Rocks.
On the Rocks, right.
And in 2006, she was in The O in Ohio.
Oh my goodness gracious. What else did Dudley Moore do?
Oh, there's a movie that should help you right away, Vince.
And that would be? I just don't.
What if Eddie Murphy could remove one movie from his?
Oh, that's right. He's in The Best Defense. Okay. I think we all try to forget The Best Defense.
I know Eddie has tried.
Yeah, so there you go.
So make the
just
connections.
make the. All right, so here you go. Derville Martin is in 5 on the Black Hand Side with Leonard Jackson, who is in Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, who is in The Best Defense with Dudley Moore, who's in either of the Arthurs with Liza Minnelli.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Very good, Vincent.
What else is Dudley Moore in? I feel like he didn't have a long filmography.
Not as long as you would think.
Right.
Like his big early film was remember Bedazzled?
What is? There's a real dog's list right here. There's a real tough list right here.
But Arthur is the movie that put him on the map here in America.
Yeah.
But then after that, he's in Lovesick, Unfaithfully Yours, Best Defense, Mickey and Maude, Santa Claus the movie. And he's the actual big star in Santa Claus the movie. He does a voice in The Adventures of Milo and Otis. He's in
This is real tough filmography right here.
Crazy People. Well, I mean, it goes.
I actually like Crazy People. I forgot. Isn't Shirley MacLaine in Crazy People?
It's Dudley Moore and Daryl Hannah. And no, Shirley MacLaine.
Okay, all right.
Shirley MacLaine.
What was John Gielgud in that you were thinking about?
John Gielgud and a host of the most famed English actors of the day
Okay.
were hoodwinked into being in Caligula.
Do you see John's Gielgud's?
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, you don't. Thankfully, no. Well, you know the story of that movie.
You know what? Not enough that I don't want you to tell it.
The like all of them, like, because the movie was produced by Bob Micheaux.
Okay. The hustler guy, or Penthouse. Bob Micheaux's Penthouse. Penthouse guy.
Penthouse. And it was his stab at doing like a real movie.
Sure.
Because Caligula did have a really wild life.
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
And Caligula was played by Michael McDowell.
Okay.
So, but in the putting together of the film, they soon realized, oh, this is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
This is not going to work.
Yeah.
But he had sunk so much money into it.
Sure.
He had to put it out.
Oh, I do.
So the only way that he could put it out and still make some type of money is that he interjected porn scenes.
Yes. Right.
Like there's a huge
orgy scene. Yeah, the orgy scene.
that happens.
Yeah.
Now, Michael McDowell, as Caligula, he's already doing wild stuff in there. Like, he's punching a guy with his fist, putting his ring up his ass, and the whole nine. But, like, everyone else in that movie, there are, like, these other scenes.
Sure.
Playing it straight.
Sure, so it was like John Gielgud giving a speech.
Right.
And then it cuts to, like, girl-on-girl action.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. He probably wasn't happy about that. No.
But what can he do?
Well, look.
Sign the contract.
You signed
clear.
the line that is dotted.
Yes. You know what? I might watch Caligula again this weekend.
Charlton Heston said, okay, I'm going to be in the sequel, but this time I'm going to be in it.
Oh my God! I'm trying to think. I know John Gielgud's in there. There's a couple other like prominent names. Like you're like, what is this guy doing in this movie? And it's like they're in the scene, and they literally like say their scene, and then they walk out of the scene,
and it is butts. It is just butts.
It's just butts.
Right. It's Angelica Houston talking about how life fades away, and then she like walks off. And then it's just like,
just ropes.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious. Anyway.
All right. Well, there you go. There you go. And I got to say John Gielgud's. So, you know.
Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
Let's get into our review of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. And let's get right to it. All right.
Boom, bingo, bango, boomo. Go, man, go.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, let's not get into it. Let me bring it up. Forgot about that part. I'm disoriented. You know who does the well? You know who does the music?
Yeah, Jerry
Goldsmith.
Absolutely.
Academy Award.
Come on, man. Come on. Just tee me up.
All right.
Put me in, coach.
All right. Okay. All right.
Come on. Do I know who did the music?
Okay, Vince. All right. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. In this third sequel to Planet of the Apes, the apes turn the tables on the human Earth population when they lead a revolt against their cruel masters in the distant year of 1990. By doing this, it creates the time loop that leads to the first film. Conquest of the Planet of the Apes is cinematically etched in broad, brash strokes, slashing social satire and science fiction suspense with large-scale spectacle. It's directed by J. Lee Thompson, starring Roddy McDowall, with music by Jerry Goldsmith. And Vincent's selection for this stop on the Micheaux Mission podcast, where we review black films.
We do?
Vincent,
Yes.
what say you of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes?
Missionaries, as you've probably already picked up, I'm going to say a lot of stuff in like 20 seconds, but let's be clear. In a lot of ways, this is an indulgence because I really just want to talk about Planet of the Apes, which, pound for pound, project to project, is my favorite genre franchise.
Really?
My favorite one.
So this trumps Trek.
Absolutely. 100%. We'll read from my notes. Planet of the Apes, the entire saga, is based on the 1963 French novel by Pierre Boullier called La Planète des Singes, which translates directly into Planet of Monkeys, which, if we translated it the way that we oftentimes translate the sort of prepositional phrase, we turn it into an adjective, we would translate it into Monkey Planet, which cracks me up that we could have had a series called Monkey Planet. But Pierre Boullier was a real interesting guy. World War II vet, was part of the Free French Resistance. He was an engineer, a civil engineer by training, but he was also a spy for the Allies, was captured, was in a German POW camp, and it's the experiences from his time in that camp. He actually wrote a novel which was adapted into a film that I know you love, Bridge Over the River Kwai.
Love that movie.
So this is who he is, and I like to set up early that a lot of the players in the Planet of the Apes series, writers, directors, in this case the novelists, were World War II combat vets.
Right.
Like, these were cats who killed Nazis. So that they create the type of science fiction that I loved first. This sort of humanist kind of progressive science fiction. As humans, we have to do better. Like, I've never been one of those greatest generation people because, frankly, the vast majority of the greatest generation came to America and then enacted segregation for the next 2-3 decades. But there is a vein of creators, whether we're talking about Boyer, whether we're talking about Gene Roddenberry, whether we're talking about all of these who saw what bigotry and hatred can do. So that when they created, they did have this sort of, again, humanist progressive slant. And the novel Planet of the Apes is set in the far year 2500, and some astronauts find this recording of another astronaut who traveled through space, landed on a planet that was run by intelligent apes, chimps, gorillas, orangutans. And it's you mentioned satire, but it really is more in the tradition of a Gulliver's Travels or an Animal Farm, where Boyer is talking about how bigotry and prejudice can lead to taking advantage of people, this, that, and the other. And then the hook at the end is that the astronauts listen to this story of this human who has been on this planet with these apes. And then the astronauts say, this is the most preposterous thing that we've ever read in our whole life. Who could imagine an intelligent human being? And then you realize that the astronauts are also apes.
Right.
The novel is a hit. 20th Century options it almost immediately.
Right.
Speaking of these creators that I love so much, they actually hire Rod Serling of The Twilight Zone to write a script for it.
Sounds apt.
He writes a script. The script is very much reflects what's in the novel. And he gets 2 notes back, which are notes that you see again and again throughout the Planet of the Apes adaptations and different projects. A, it's too preachy. Nobody's trying to go to the movie. So all of this social commentary, you need to dial that back.
Okay.
B, it's too expensive.
Right.
So they hand it off to another script writer, Michael Wilson. Another same thing. Combat vet, World War II. Actually got blacklisted.
Okay.
In the 50s, in the communist scare. He rewrites it to the version that we see where the Planet of the Apes is more of an agrarian kind of rural setting / it's not as expensive to shoot.
Okay.
And he adds the twist that we all know so well, that at the end of the Planet of the Apes, Colonel Taylor, who is the main character, realizes that he did not travel through space. He traveled through time. And that the Planet of the Apes is actually a post-apocalyptic Earth.
Right.
So you do get the social commentary of this sort of fear of a nuclear exchange that you have. Remember, this is 1968, so we're in the midst of the Cold War. Charlton Heston stars in it. And I have to say, if you take nothing from this episode, watch the 1968 Planet of the Apes. Like, this is a great film. The direction, the cinematography, we just talked about the music, the costumes were nominated for an Academy Award. The prosthetic work is still being, some of the methods that they used.
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes is saying it's a huge hit doesn't even really capture it. It really is a cultural phenomenon.
Yes, it is.
Takes the country by storm, arguably the world by storm. 20th Century, obviously, wants a sequel. All of the aspects of quality that we talk about go out the window.
Yep.
Go out the window. But the important thing about Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which is the direct sequel, comes out in 1970. I think I activated my phone. Is that scriptwriter Paul Dean comes into the Planet of the Apes world. And he is, say it with me, combat vet, actually used to train spies and special forces. So, same thing. And Paul Dean is really where all these ideas come from. There's some back and forth with Charlton Heston about being in it. Charlton Heston, frankly, sees the writing on the wall. And he's like, my long, distinguished career, I'm not going to be the ape guy.
Right.
So there's some back and forth about him being in it. The negotiation, when it comes down to, Charlton Heston says, I'll be in the very beginning. I'll be in the end. My character must die.
Yes.
And he donates his salary to charity. So Beneath the Planet of Apes is just this really bizarre film. Like, after this wonderful spectacle of Planet of the Apes, where it's almost a throwback. Like you think about Planet of the Apes, you can show it with a Ben-Hur or a Tin Command. Like, it's just a big spectacle of a film. Beneath the Planet of Apes is claustrophobic. It's underground. You've got mutant humans who have psychic powers.
Yeah.
And they work like there's a cult. Or it's just a really bizarre film.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time away from the apes.
Not a lot of apes, which, not for nothing, budgetary restraints. Like they always say, you can tell the budget of an ape movie by looking at how many apes there are, how many apes have talking parts. So Beneath, like you said, not a lot. It's a whole lot of Beneath the Planet of the Apes with no apes.
Right.
Charlton Heston's character comes in at the end, blows up the planet. There's an end note at the end of Beneath the Planet of the Apes and says, "Thus ends life on a third planet." Beneath the Planet of the Apes, while not as big of a hit as Planet of the Apes, still a hit. So one of my favorite details about Beneath the Planet of the Apes is that the studio execs at 20th Century Studios send send a note to Paul Dean, and it's like 5 words: big hit, need more apes. But they've blown the planet up.
Right.
So Paul Dean comes up with this storyline, and for the third film, Escape from the Planet of the Apes, in 1971, where 3 apes have gone into Taylor's ship and traveled to modern time, to the modern world of 1971.
Right.
And once again, it's the most bizarre film, because you have like this almost dual plot where you have you know the 2 apes who are the main apes, and then it's like extra ape cannon fodder. But they become celebrities.
Yeah, they live it big.
So it's like this weird prescient examination of celebrity and how absurd celebrity is. But at the same time, there's this additional plot where it's almost like a political thriller, where the government and the military are thinking about the implications of these apes have come from the future. So what does that say about humanity? So it's this really bizarre tension between this almost campy tone,
and then this very dark ending.
Very dark, and because what they come up with is that we have to get rid of these apes because we think that this might lead to a circular timeline where these apes who have come back in the past are going to set up the future. So much so that we're going to A, kill the 2 apes, B, the woman, one of the 2 of the apes are a couple. So the lady becomes pregnant. So there's a huge part of the plot of this film where they're talking about murdering a baby.
They do more than talk about it.
Well, they do more than talk about it. They go on the run, as if this thing isn't bizarre enough. They go on the run and hide out at a circus. Where Ricardo Montalban is the ringmaster.
Armando.
Who wears the ringmaster stuff.
All times.
All the time. So it's like, it's just this really, again, bizarre image of Roddy McDowall in his ape costume, Ricardo Montalban in his ringmaster costume. Long story short, they kill the 2 apes. They think they kill the ape baby, but Armando has switched out the apes so that they just kill a regular ape baby.
Yes, but it wasn't Armando who switched it out.
Who switched them out?
It was actually Zira.
Zira, the lady ape, switches them out. Film ends, you realize that the ape child of the intelligent apes is alive, and the reason you know is because the ape starts to talk, and it says mama, mama, which again, just really bizarre imagery, which leads to our 4th film,
which leads to our movie tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which is set 20 years after Escape. So it is a direct sequel. And Caesar, who is the ape baby who is now grown up, now lives secretly as an intelligent ape, because in the 20 years that have passed, there was a virus that exterminated all the pets, like dogs, cats, everything died.
No pets for you.
Humans, because we gotta have some pets, start to adopt small monkeys, realize that they're smart, and get bigger and bigger apes and enslave them.
Yes.
And this is a very provocative word, but this is a word from the text. And this is a film about the horror of slavery, the horror of the type of brutality that comes in it. What happens when people want to be free? And Caesar starts an uprising. So that for a film that comes in right at an hour and a half, like I think it's an hour and 28 minutes, the last half hour, 1/3 of the film is this uprising where the apes are killing humans, they're fighting back against the police.
Yeah.
And it is shocking how politically pointed this film is in its commentary on police brutality, in its commentary on communities of people being disenfranchised and enslaved and taken advantage of. And let's be clear. You talk to Paul Dean, you talk to, and I guess I should know the director's name off the top of my head, but I don't. I've just rattled off so many names.
J. Lee Thompson.
J. Lee Thompson, they were all very clear. We are making commentary on the civil rights movement. We are creating commentary on sort of bigotry and prejudice and racism. Famously, some of the scenes during the uprising or riots are filmed like some of the footage from the Watts riot. So this is not inference. This is not us interpreting. This is the filmmaker saying we are critiquing what is happening in our country right now. Now, the stand-in for black people in this film are apes.
Yes.
You cannot get around that. And I think it is fascinating that so many of the actors in this film are black. Like you see so many actual black people in the film, whether they're working at places. They're people. There's a woman who's working at the restaurant. There's one of the technicians at the ape management center that you see all the time.
Fair enough. Yep.
The aide to the mayor is a black man. Like one of the few speaking roles by humans is a black man. So much so that I think there are more black people in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes
Than in any other one.
than any of the other ape films combined. It's almost like the filmmakers knew. We have to make sure that we understand these are apes and these are humans.
Maybe they actually made the fourth one to fill the quota.
Well, right. And if you cannot get over that hump, that the stand-in for black people in this film are apes, I 100% respect that. I don't even know if I'm necessarily arguing that this is a black film. But this is damn sure a film about blackness and about the black experience at this moment. And I think as someone who, again, is just a huge fan of this series and, just a black man and we do this, it is frustrating to me that nobody black talks about this movie. This movie's just been sitting here for 40 years and nobody black actually talks about it. Now, the one thing that I haven't talked about is the quality of this film as a film.
You've buried the lead.
Which is probably a good place to say, Lynn. What are your thoughts on Conquest of the Planet of the Apes?
Oh, well, thank you for that segue, Vincent. We talked, I remember that I had actually seen this film not too long ago, in the early days of COVID, kind of sat and watched all of the Planet of the Apes films. I am a fan of them. I don't kneel at the altar with you at them, but I am a fan. interesting enough, though, and I'll make it quick. In watching this movie, I did find myself saying, I don't know. I think I like this more than the rest of them.
Okay.
And I think it's because the social commentary that you talk about, that is all there. It is all surface level there. If you know what to pick at, to pull it out. But I think it's done in a more interesting way. One of the reasons these films are all hits, all 5 of them ultimately are hits. Yet despite that, because the movie house that was putting them out, 20th Century Fox, at this time was going through huge financial issues.
That's right.
Each succeeding film had a lesser budget.
That's right.
Even though they are certified hits.
That's right.
Which usually equates to a bigger budget.
Sure.
Or at least equal.
Yeah.
But each of these films have a lesser budget as it goes along. And I think by the time you get to Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, you talk about how you can see the budgets and the costumes. In the beginning, in the first film, you've got full-on costumes and makeup with these apes and gorillas and chimpanzees, right? Almost on the level of anything that you would say, and I'm just thinking practical special effects. Like my benchmark is The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
The Wizard of Oz came out in 1939. If you can't get your face to look as good as the Tin Man and the Scarecrow in there, you just not good. And they do that in that first one. But then with each succeeding film, there's less and less fur that is showing.
Yes.
There's less time, like with close-ups of the faces, because they can't stand up to too many close-ups.
Right.
As you get further along. And one of the things that I notice is that you also start to lose the definition that was in the feet and the hands.
Oh yeah.
Because the feet and the hands were decidedly monkeys. You know, in the first 2 films, maybe even in the first 3. But by the time you get to Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, and all of these extras, because this one probably maybe has actually more apes because of the idea of the apes are revolting at this time. So you want to show them in mass being just, almost how much they outnumber, their oppressors, which was the big thing about slavery. We outnumber them. We just, by sheer force of numbers, we should be able to. So there's more apes here. But these apes, not only are they basically just pull on mass.
Absolutely.
But the feet are gone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
These are 1,000 extras running around in Buster Browns.
Yeah.
And Buster Browns, ladies and gentlemen, are just regular old Tom McCann type shoes. I don't even think they make them anymore.
Right.
But these are the shoes that they are, the shoes that they are wearing. They are wearing straight up shoes.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's come to this.
The look.
Right? But as we have often found here on the mission, is that sometimes a lesser budget means that you have to be more imaginative. You have to be more intentional about your storytelling.
That's right.
And there are moments in this movie that really stayed with me. How Caesar kind of starts rallying everyone to him to follow his cause. And it's not because he makes some grand speech. First of all, he gets them to come to his cause just by, in one scene, sharing his food.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With the other apes, right? They're not used to that, right? They're not used to his mannered demeanor. And then the rest of it is just they can tell because just by looking at him, he's one of us, but he ain't one of us. But there's something different about that dude. And he just shows up in the city, and just you see his face, and he's looking at the apes, and they just like, I understand. Because they see the intelligence in his face. They see the humanity behind his eyes, and they recognize that there's probably like a glimmer of that still within them, even though they've had a lot of it beaten out of them, right? And it's almost for a long time. There's a long time in this movie. There's no dialogue. It's just him looking at these apes and monkeys, and them then uprising, right? And I was like, that's cool because that's how they would communicate with one another.
Right.
That's when you extrapolate this and get this into like slavery. That's what we had to do. That's what we had to do. We had to create our own green books. We had to have our symbols that we would etch on doors so that people knew that this was a safe house and things of that nature. We had to have like our own underground railroad. They got like a whole underground that they're plotting in this. So it is all right there. And I found myself, despite the lack of this a budget, and I found myself more intrigued and like sitting up and like taking note of this, right? And I'm like, I cannot believe I'm sitting here not only enjoying Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, but Vincent has got me saying that Conquest of the Planet of the Apes is a black movie.
Look.
And it is every bit a black movie. Because I see it. I see it all right there. And it's a hard pill to swallow because of how black people have been denigrated over the years. And called apes.
Sure, absolutely.
In derogatory terms. So it's a hard pill to swallow. But once you get past that. And honestly, I don't think it's a big leap for you to get past that with this movie. And the reason why I don't think it's a big leap is because this is the fourth sequel in this franchise, but this is decidedly the first black movie in this franchise.
Absolutely.
Because the rest of them are science fiction. They are science fiction along the lines of something that Rod Serling would write, or even Gene Roddenberry with the whole allegory of it. But this is the first one that really gets down and dirty, and it's no surprise that when you read about this film, that black audiences love this movie. Because they saw it.
Well, and it's so, like you said, it's the fourth in the series, and you know, and I mentioned that this is pound for pound my favorite sci-fi franchise. It is surreal to me that in the middle of this franchise, because let's be clear, the 70s belonged to Planet of the Apes. Like, we talk about Star Trek, but you know, not to be, you know, Star Trek is canceled, goes into syndication immediately. The motion picture doesn't come out to what, 78, 79?
79. Yeah.
It was really the fans that kept Star Trek alive in that period.
In syndication, right.
Star Wars doesn't come out till 77.
That's right.
And I would say Star Wars was a hit, but it was a phenomenon until Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
From 1970, January 1st, 1970 to December 31st, 1979, Planet of the Apes was the biggest sci-fi franchise in the country.
Yes.
And in the middle of this thing, for them to basically make this really arch, really radical film, because we haven't even talked about the end. You know, the theatrical cut in the end, the apes rise up. There's been this evil governor, and in the original cut, the apes execute him.
Yeah.
They showed it to a test audience. The test audience was basically like, God damn, I know he was doing all this.
Yeah.
So then they recut it but it's still a pretty intense ending.
Yeah, because he doesn't. You don't see him die at the end.
Right, but it's very much implied that there's going to be some type of tribunal, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
But for them to basically give one of the 8 movies to these guys, and then they come back with this, is extraordinary.
Yep.
Like, can you imagine if like Thor: Dark World was about Black Lives Matter?
Right.
Like, we're just going to talk about Black Lives Matter and Thor,
Right.
and we're going to be sympathetic towards them. Because to be clear, the film is sympathetic towards this uprising.
Yeah.
As the viewer, we are on their side.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And this is really, I guess it's the second film that plays the apes up as the heroes of the film.
Right, exactly. Because Escape, you see the shift.
Right.
When they come back.
The unfortunate thing about Escape, talk about Dark, and we talked about it, is that they are the heroes and the martyrs.
Right.
But so here, and it's interesting that they are the martyrs that die at the end of Escape, and now you have Conquest. It's almost as if the note from the audience was like, "Oh no, the apes should really like they should live. They deserve to live." And now the edict is like, we've got to give them that reason. But then cut to your director's cut of them killing the governor. They like, oh, but hold up.
That's a bit too far.
Whoa. I don't know who wrote that. We didn't write. No.
Yeah. I do want to say a bit about the costumes, talking about, like you said, the budget. Sometimes when the budget is low, you have to improvise. And I love the visual of all of the humans wear muted colors, usually black.
Yes.
Like the men always wear and it's very much reminiscent of Nazi uniforms, which was deliberate. And then the apes have on these bright jumpsuits, which they borrowed from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
How about that?
So they kind of reused it and I mentioned a little bit before we started talking how I love retrofuturistic thing. Like, this is very much a 70s depiction of the future.
Well, it's interesting because it's filmed entirely, almost. I think there's some parts of the film, like on the film set.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's filmed entirely in Century City in California, which is kind of like this series of office buildings, but that have
that look,
purposefully, that kind of like futuristic, sterile kind of look, which works 100% with the universe that they're building here. And it really is like spot on. Yeah. It fits it perfectly.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
I am pleasantly surprised with this. I just knew.
I
cannot believe you're on board with this.
I can't believe it either. I don't know who it is. I know we got different producers. I don't think I'm Len. I don't know what the hell is going on.
Well, I tell you, we were starting Octavia April off with a bang. I was all ready to fight, but So again, I think the fascinating thing about Planet of the Apes, or to keep it within the context of the show, where again it just amazes me that something this radical and this overtly political comes out in this franchise. As you mentioned, Planet of the Apes has never lost money.
Never.
Like, this has been a money-making machine since '68.
Yeah.
After the next film, which is the last of the original series, so you have Battle for the Planet of the Apes. There's a live-action television show.
Which, that one, I don't think... It didn't last well, and I don't think it's well received.
It didn't last well. It wasn't well received. My point is, people are always greenlighting
doing something.
Planet of the Apes. There's a cartoon,
which was good.
Almost immediately, they talk about rebooting it, which then of course comes with the greatly maligned Tim Burton version, which is not good. I find it more interesting than you do.
It's not good because I rewatched that too.
I know, but it made $380 million.
Yeah, it was not a big flop.
Right. Yeah, and then certainly the revamp of the past 10 years.
Oh my God, that
has been great.
That was amazing.
Although I have to say, I kind of feel like it loses something with the CGI. Like, I 100% agree with you that the apes in the clothing and the shoes are primarily a budget thing. But there's something very off-putting about that image of people in these ape costumes wearing the clothes, but they're still humans. Like, you can tell they're humans in the outfits. And I kind of like that. It's almost the reverse of the uncanny valley.
Yeah.
Like, there's something slightly disturbing about it that I think you lose with the CGI.
Yeah, see, but
it's just, he's just a chimp.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You couldn't do that at that point with the CGI. Maybe now, because those movies are already several years old.
Oh, yeah.
But you couldn't do that because, one, those movies, those trio of movies, are really prequels to the first Planet of the Apes movie.
Sure.
So this is the apes learning their sentience and learning their humanity.
Yeah.
So it is actual apes on the screen. And you can't do a guy in a monkey suit.
Sure.
On screen. It's just not going to get over.
I'm glad you said that, though, because part of my argument that I was ready to have with you, but now apparently we're not going to have an argument, is that Conquest, this film, is the real foundation for this last set of films.
Yes.
Like, they pulled everything from Conquest, whether it's the virus, whether it's Caesar, whether it all of it, like Conquest, which is why I'm such a big fan of Paul Dean in his ideas as a scriptwriter. I have to say, like you, Conquest might be my favorite because it's so political, but I really like Escape because of the ideas.
I don't like Escape. I don't like Escape.
I could make a series. If I had a television series, I would use Escape as the basis for it.
No, I think that probably is the one that you could make a series out of, certainly. But I don't like it because I think it's tonally all over the place.
It really is.
Because you talk about it. You want to talk frothy. It's sci-fi, hard sci-fi when it comes on. Then it turns into Three's Company in the middle, and by the end, dude, it's like slit your wrist time.
Yeah.
Man. Are you serious?
Well, you know what it is, and again, going back to this being this money-making juggernaut, I think it's almost a version of what happened with Godzilla, where they realized kids were really into Planet of the Apes. So then you had this push and pull of the tone
With
Escape. And it really is this kind of battle between, are we going to treat it the way we've always treated it, or are we going to have, like you said, this frothy, almost romp?
Yeah. That's interesting. The other interesting thing about it, and then we really got to start shutting this down, is that these 5 movies, they come out within about 6 years.
Dude, boom, 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 boom.
I'm like, because Escape is 1971, Conquest is 1972, and I think Battle is 73 or 74.
Look, Charlton Heston and his agent saw the writing on the wall. They were like, if I don't get out of this now,
I'll never get out.
I'll never get out.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about Charlton Heston in a couple of weeks too. I always say the trio of films that he made in this period. So this, Soylent Green, and of course
The Omega Man.
the Omega Man. Like I was like, if you really want to know about the disillusion and the anxiety that middle class white America felt during this Vietnam Watergate period of time, everything you need to know is in those 3 movies. Because Charlton Heston is very much the everyman dealing with all of this stuff.
Yeah, that's when he kind of like he becomes the everyman. He wasn't the everyman earlier. He was Moses.
Right.
Would you recommend that people see Conquest of the Planet of the Apes?
Surprisingly, I do not give it a straight ahead recommendation.
Okay.
I think as in a lot of ways, you cheated and I cheated because we are thinking about this film within the context of the whole series. I think as a standalone, I think by the time you get to this film, they know that no one is coming into this cold.
Right.
So for the missionaries that watch and they just I think you guys have interesting commentary. And if you say I think you should watch this movie, I'll just watch it cold. But I don't really do Planet of the Apes. I would not recommend this to that person. Like that person kind of cold. If you are a science fiction fan, I think you absolutely should watch all 5 of the films. And as you said, I think this film is the most interesting of the 5 films. If you fashion yourself a blurred, and as we talked about with Octavia Butler, and a lot of Octavia Butler's work, and I was referencing Bloodchild, which Bloodchild, there are no black people in this short story. It's like an alien in a Vietnamese family.
Okay.
But it's very much, talking about black stuff. It's like this body horror, and she calls it her pregnant man story. And if you're interested in science fiction like that, I think you should absolutely watch this. And if you can't get over wait, are you saying that black people are the monkeys in this movie? Then maybe this isn't the movie for you.
Maybe this isn't the movie.
So, and yourself?
I would not recommend Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
I do think it's an interesting film. I think it is a timely film at that moment. And I like how it sits within the pocket of that franchise, that iteration of the franchise. But to your point, the linchpins, the leverage points in this film, I think are plucked out of it and worked and massaged and put together a lot better in the revamped Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
That first film.
Yeah.
And then I would suggest watching that. Watch that trio of film, then return, watch Planet of the Apes, and honestly, I don't think you need to watch anymore.
Okay.
Down with it. So I can't recommend Conquest, though.
Okay.
No. All right. There you go. All right. That's where we land on Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, I stand with my partner, Vincent. So send your hate mail to the Micheaux Mission at gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION at gmail.com. And let us know what you think about us saying that this is indeed a black film. Or, if you want to be real bold, why don't you tell us on a voicemail? You can call us at 215-867-9666. Somebody, real quick aside, somebody hit me up with a comment. I said, why don't you send it on a voicemail? She said, I'm not calling your devil phone number. I was like, oh, well, I'm not sharing your comment then.
Boy.
But yes, let us know what you thought of our review of Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, ladies and gentlemen. The Micheaux Mission is available on all the social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Micheaux Mission. Check us out. The Micheaux Mission is also on YouTube, where we're streaming right now. Subscribe to the Micheaux Mission channel on YouTube, where we're putting up top 5 lists. We actually have 2 of our top 5s edited into 2 cool mini episodes up there. Our top 5 new DCU Black Wonder Woman, and our top 5 Pam Griers of the 21st century. So you'll want to check them out. Look for them on our YouTube channel. More interesting and fun YouTube content coming your way. All right. From the Micheaux Mission, 2 Men, 1 Podcast, every black film ever made, proud members of the Podglomerate. The Podglomerate Podcast Network, they make podcasts work, as we come to you live from the Video Content Factory, Philly's premier podcast home. Don't let this fool you, ladies and gentlemen. We're in a new location. Hey, this is about to get funky out here. Like I see all the carpets and stuff that have rolled off to the side. I'm telling you, you will not recognize this joint next week when Terry and Dylan are back. They actually moved in today. They passed out. You know, Terry, you know, he was like, I haven't lifted this much weights since I was 12. So he didn't know what to do. And so, but next week, we are going to be on point. It's going to be on point right here as we continue in Octavia April, ladies and gentlemen. And next week, it is my pick, and I have an actual Afrofuturistic film for you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have actually threatened, Vince. I checked. We have threatened to review this film 2 times on the mission.
Yeah.
But things come up, and we haven't been able to get to it. But next week, we're doing it. It is Space is the Place.
Space is the place.
Starring Sunrise.
That's right. And his orchestra.
And his orchestra, which means it has to be Afrofuturistic.
Yeah. Pretty sure it was filmed right here in Philadelphia.
In Philly.
Yeah.
Philly.
That's right.
Next week here on the Micheaux Mission.
Looking forward to that a great deal.
He's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.